Chapter 5 The Half-King. Shenandoah Valley, Virginia Colony, late summer, 1749. News of Georgia's new stance on slavery is spreading throughout the colonies. Since its founding in 1732, Georgians have heavily frowned upon the practice on the grounds it misaligned with their beliefs. However, with the Spanish-controlled slave colony of Florida at their southern border, concerns rise over military threats, leading Georgians to rethink their position. As a result, slavery is legalized in the colony. Meanwhile, Abraham Hollingsworth's widow, Anne Robinson, passes away just months after her husband's death, leaving the couple's second son, Isaac, a Quaker minister, to inherit Abram's delight. Standing before his parents' partially constructed mansion, left hand holding his Bible over his heart and right hand held to heaven, he declares, "Father, here and now, before God himself, I vow to make your dream a reality. In your honor, I will see Abram's delight through to its magnificent completion." Across the valley, powerless to stop it, William and Mary watch as their old land is divided into parcels and sold. In fields where their crops once grew, cabins, barns, and picket fences now stand. The parcels clearly defined by the split-rail fences lining their boundaries. One of those parcels, known to Lord Fairfax as Lot 17, is purchased by German immigrant Heinrich Scheffler Sr. Heinrich, also known as Henry, and his family, 12-year-old son Heinrich Jr., 29-year-old son John and his wife Elizabeth Magdalena Peters Scheffler, along with their three daughters, 14-year-old Mary Margaret, 6-year-old Nancy Jane, a.k.a. Agnes, and 3-year-old Melinda Magdalena, and sons Matthias, age 9, 8-year-old Philip, and 7-year-old Peter, had been living on a farm near the Rhine River in their native Germany prior to immigrating. When they arrived in the colonies on September 26, 1737, aboard the St. Andrew's Galley, they traveled to Germantown, Pennsylvania, where they worked as indentured servants to pay for their passage. Upon meeting their contractual obligations, they moved to the Shenandoah Valley, where they landed in the Frederick County village of East Jersey on the Redbud and Opicon, not far from Fredericktown. Since their arrival, Henry has been looking for land on which to settle, so when the opportunity arose on August 7, 1749, he leapt at the chance, purchasing more than 200 acres of William's old land, his parcel directly adjacent to William's. With the purchase complete, Henry and his eldest son ride out to view their new land. William spots them approaching in the distance, and assuming they have come to do business, greets them with his smile and a tip of his broad brim. "Top of the morn!" "And to you as well, sir," Henry replies. "It is a fine day, is it not?" William gazes at the sun-splashed morning, smiling at the frolicking birds. He turns to them with a nod. "Indeed it is. So, how may I be of service?" Henry casts his gaze to the east. "Thank you for asking, sir, but we are not in need of any help." His son adds, "Nein, we're here to survey our land." William throws him a raised brow and crooked smile. "You mean me old planting field?" Scheffler glares at him from atop his mount. "Planting field?" William throws a hand in the air, waving him off. "Never you mind, neighbor. 'Tis an old, and might I add, not so happy tale that I'm certain neither of us would care to hear." The Irishman extends a hand. "Welcome to Albin Village. William Bruce Albin. 'Tis a pleasure to make your acquaintance, neighbor." The Schefflers dismount and shake his hand. "The pleasure is mine, Mr. Albin. Scheffler, Henry Scheffler, and this is my son John." "So, you folks new to the valley?" "Nein, East Jersey, by way of Pennsylvania," the elder Scheffler replies. "Pennsylvania, you say? But that didn't sound like any Pennsylvania accent I've heard." Henry chuckles. "Nein, we're from Germany, near the Rhine River. I think you'll agree, Mr. Albin. You can take a man from his country birth, but parts of it will always remain. And by the sound of it, I'm guessing Ireland or Scotland." William laughs. "Guilty as charged, Mr. Shipler. Irish born with Scottish blood, I am. And yet, who we were is not so important as who we are." William pumps a fist. "Aye, Virginians through and through." Henry rolls his eyes back and forth with disapproval. "I was going to say who we are now as servants of the crown." Glancing at the ground, William takes a deep breath and yokes up. Stepping forward, he lifts his eyes to match Henry's. "With all due respect, Henry, the crown could kiss my hairy Irish arse. The only loyalty I have is to me kinfolk and the people of this here valley." Timidly, Shepherd replies, "I see. I'm not sure you do. You see, over 1,000 acres of this here land were mine, bought and paid for. I worked it, molded it, and carved it into a fine farm, and bloody Lord Fairfax and the crown stole it away from me. So, the British crown be damned." Stone-faced, Henry listens in shock, his ears burning at the sound of William's disdain. He is nervous, unsure where this conversation will lead, when from out of the blue, William throws him his signature smile. "Although, had it no been for their thievery, we'd no be neighbors. So, I reckon some good came from it after all." Still bug-eyed, Henry shakes his hand. "I pray you'll not begrudge it," William says, cutting him off. "No to worry, friend." And with a wave, "Come meet me wife. Mary loves meeting new neighbors." The father and son exchange a glance before following the Irishman across the field to his cabin. Ohio River Valley, Ohio Territory, 1749. The King of England has just issued a land grant to the Ohio Company for 200,000 acres west of the Shenandoah Valley, between the Ohio and Great Kanawha Rivers and the Allegheny Mountains. Lawrence Washington and Thomas Lee of the prominent Lee family of Virginia, along with William Fairfax and other prominent landowners, established the Ohio Company of Virginia 2 years earlier. Their goal is to open a trade route into the American interior by way of the Potomac River. Later, they will receive another grant for an additional 500,000 acres. Inopportunely, just as the venture is beginning, Lawrence contracts tuberculosis. With his health deteriorating, he steps away from his business dealings, and with the hope of improving his condition, makes several trips to Bath, Virginia, with his half-brother George. Unfortunately, their efforts prove fruitless, so that summer Lawrence and young George sail to England in search of a treatment, but to no avail. Upon their return, George returns to the Shenandoah Valley to work as a surveyor for Lord Fairfax. Eastern base of the Blue Ridge Mountains, Rappahannock River Basin, Culpeper County, Virginia Colony, 1750. Having proved himself a competent surveyor during the Shenandoah expedition, George, aided by Thomas the Sixth Lord Fairfax, is appointed official surveyor of Culpeper County. While things are going well for young George, the same cannot be said of his fellow colonists. For later that year, to protect the iron industry in the homeland, the British Crown imposes its tyrannical will, passing the so-named Iron Act, thus arresting the iron finishing industry in the colonies. And while it serves Englanders, it creates only hardship for the colonists. The Alban Farm, Village of Alban, Summer, 1750. A writer hands William a message, then rides away. Seeing it is a letter from Pennsylvania, he quickly opens it. As his eyes scan the page, the disheartening news reveals itself. The dispatch was sent to inform him his Uncle James Jr. had passed in his sleep. He drops his arms to his sides, letting the letter float to the ground. Memories of the flames and blistering heat from the Bailey House fire consume his mind. His thoughts shifting, he recalls the taste and exhilaration of the cold salt water on his face aboard the Lady Anne. and the feeling of that encouraging hand upon his shoulder that said, "I believe in you." The scene shifts to his beloved Mary walking down the aisle, adorned in the magnificent dress created by his uncle. Smiling, he recalls how royal he felt in his fine silk suit. These are the memories of an uncle who had always treated William like a son. Slowly, he raises his eyes to heaven, smiling as the tears roll from the corner of his eyes. "Thank you, Uncle James, for everything. You were one of the finest men I ever knew." James Jr. had lived a full life. As a young man, he found love, experienced its joy, and tragically lost it in the blink of an eye. Oh, the sweet sorrow! Then, after overcoming the horrific fire that took his father, brother, sister-in-law, and nephew, he endeavored to survive and thrive. Painful as it was, he buried his loved ones, packed their belongings, and left all that he had ever known for a new life in America. And after enduring the treacherous journey, he successfully raised his brother's orphan children. Having never found love again, Junior remained a bachelor, living out the remainder of his days in West Marlboro, Pennsylvania. With no wife or children of his own, he devoted the remainder of his life to his one true love, fashion, and in doing so, fulfilled a promise he made to the one and only love of his life, Wendy Perry. The fruit of his labor had not only provided him a good living, but it also garnered him a reputation for being one of the colonists' finest tailors, his passion for which he pursued to the day of his death on September 29, 1750, at the age of 68. In his lifetime, James Jr. had seen the last of the Alban family leave Ireland to start anew in America, and while he never had any children of his own, his selfless actions and commitment to family ensured his family name would persevere and prosper, firmly establishing his legacy by successfully establishing the Albans' family roots on American soil for generations to come. Uncharted territory of the western frontier, British colonies of North America, 1750. Although the King George's War had long since ended, tensions between the British and French still remain. The British, who hold the continent's east coast, seek to grow their empire westward, while the French, who continue to hold Canada to the north and Louisiana to the south, have their eyes on obtaining the vast stretch of land along the Mississippi River that rests in between, with the intention of crushing Great Britain's western expansion, while claiming that huge swath of land from Canada to the Gulf Coast for their own. Sadly, not even the mighty Mississippi can wash their tensions away, and the storm continues to simmer. Downtown Fredericktown, Shenandoah Valley, Virginia Colony, 1752. In February, Virginia's House of Burgesses grants Fredericktown a city charter, renaming it Winchester, after the English birthplace of the town's second founder, Colonel Woods. In early spring, John Shepler, who has been living under his father's roof, purchases 211 acres from James Kennedy, a parcel directly adjacent to the Albans and their neighbors James Hagan and Hugh Perrell. Although difficult to watch, William moves on with his life. To his way of thinking, his new neighbors had not stolen his land. That had been Lord Fairfax's doing. These people have simply fallen in love with the land just as he had so many years before. So before they even meet, he and his new neighbors already have something in common. Seeing it as an opportunity, he builds a strong, close-knit community set on making their village the best it can be. Like an ambassador, he extends a hand of friendship to each new neighbor, welcoming them into the community. And although not an elected position, he is seen as a respected leader in the community. And as time passes, the village of Alban grows into a thriving community of independent farmers, who together share parallel goals and a very special bond of friendship. The Western Frontier, Ohio River Valley, Ohio Territory, May 1752. While the village of Albin grows, the colony is looking to grow as well. As part of that effort, Virginia's Lieutenant Governor Dinwiddie dispatches Commissioners Joshua Fry, Lunsford Lomax, and James Patton on a mission to acquire consent from the local Indian tribes to enter their lands and establish a trading post. Together, with frontiersman and Ohio Company agent Christopher Gist and interpreter Andrew Montour, they traveled the Allegheny River into the Ohio River Valley. Shenassimstown, an Indian village in the Ohio River Valley, Ohio Territory, Sunday, May 28, 1752. On the banks of the Ohio River, just 3 miles from Shenassim's, the Virginians crossed the path of 8 Delaware Indians. On horseback, the warriors watch and wait as the strangers approach. Acknowledging each other from a distance, both parties dismount and slowly approach. Meeting halfway, they stand face to face without speaking a word. One of the Delawares kneels and starts a fire with the flint and steel, all parties silently watching. When the fire is lit, he waves for them all to join him. As they gather around the fire, he loads a pipe, lighting it with a twig. Puffing away, he gets it going and passes it to his left for all to partake in their traditional ceremonial smoking of their long pipe. For this is how they officially welcome the Virginians into their homeland. After the pipe makes its way around the circle 3 times, the leader of the Indian contingency sets down the pipe and addresses his guests for the first time. "Brethren, welcome. Come, we talk." With the pipe ceremony complete, the Indian contingency mounts their horses and their leader says, "Follow. We take." They then lead the Virginians to within 200 yards of their village. There, they are greeted by villagers welcoming them with the ceremonial firing of their long rifles. After 3 volleys, the Virginians return the gesture as a show of respect. Following the ceremony, the villagers return to their daily activities, and the Virginians are led to a spot on the riverbank just above town. There, the king's colors on full display, they set up camp. Shenandoah, an Indian village in the Ohio River Valley, Ohio Territory, Monday, May 29, 1752. The following morning, the parties gather at a nearby village for a formal council. As the meeting begins, one of the chiefs addresses the Virginians. "Brethren, your journey has been long and hard, with much toil and sweat. With this string of wampum, we wipe the sweat from your brow." Before continuing, the chief hands the wampum to Mr. Fry as Mr. Montour interprets. "We are grateful to see you, and hope you come with open hearts and clear voices. Let us clear you voices with this string of wampum." Mr. Montour interprets again as the chief hands the string to Mr. Gist. "Brethren, you come from far, and your ears have heard of us many a false report. We say, keep them not in you thoughts. Disregard them, wipe them from you mind, with this string of wampum." Before continuing, the chief hands the string of wampum to Mr. Lomax as Montour conveys his message. Montour continues as the chief hands a string to Mr. Patton. "Consider our brethren which live near Sitting Sun, and advise them wisely. For this we give this string of wampum." Not having any wampum to offer in return, Mr. Montour speaks on behalf of the Virginians, addressing them in their native tongue. "First, we wish to thank you for your warm welcome. You have been a most gracious host. If you would be so understanding, we would very much like to pray on our response and present it to you this afternoon, if your counsel would be so obliged." The chief at the center of the group looks to his left and right at the other chiefs, then nods at Montour. With that, the parties part ways. On their way back to camp, Gist and Montour share an update on a recent council. Handing over a string of wampum to Mr. Fry, Montour says, "Gist and I received this from the council at Longstown. They say they are happy to hear of your arrival, and assured us we are welcome to enter the Logstown territory safely." "Excellent," Fry says, inspecting the wampum. "We've not much time, gentlemen. I think it wise we hurry back to camp and make some wampum. We can talk while we string," Gist suggests. Fry nods. "Agreed." Upon their return, Gist fetches some fur pelts from his tent and makes his way down to the river where a group of women are washing beads. If he is lucky, they will be in the mood for a trade, and he'll be able to secure enough beads to make some suitable wampum. He walks up and peers into baskets filled with tiny beads, each basket holding its own color of beads in matching size and shape. Jackpot! As he looks on with interest, the women, who are on their knees, stop talking and look up. Gist smiles, then waves his hand over the baskets, flipping the roll of pelts off his shoulder to the ground. And with a pull of the leather tong, he unrolls the beautiful pelts like he is rolling out the red carpet. The three women rise and lean closer to inspect the goods. One runs her fingers through the silky smooth fur. And who can blame her, as beaver pelts are the most desirable of pelts for this very reason, not to mention its reputation for repelling water. She runs her fingers through the three pelts, then sits back on her heels, leaving Gist to wonder. A few uncomfortable moments of silence pass. Looking up, she points at the wolfskin cape draped over his coat. He grabs it with his forefinger and thumb and shakes it back and forth a few times. The woman nods. Gist smiles and slings the cape from his back, handing it to her. With the tip of his tricorn, Gist reaches for the beaver pelts. Plunging forward, the woman slaps a hand on them, shaking her head. Clearly, she is a far better negotiator than he anticipated, driving a hard bargain while clearly stating her terms. Acknowledging she had bested him, he smiles, tips his hat, and walks away with a basket of beads. Later that afternoon, the council reconvenes. The first to speak is the highly experienced and well-respected explorer and surveyor Christopher Gist. "Chiefs of the Delaware, our journey hither to see you has been long and difficult, amends for which have been sufficiently made by the kind reception we received upon our arrival. We wish to assure you how grateful we are with this string of wampum." The chief takes it in hand, examining it closely, nodding his approval. Gist continues. "Brethren, this morning, with your second speech, you offered wampum to clear our voices so we might speak with open minds. In response to which, we wish to inform you that we have come with a gift of goods, from our king to his Indian children. It is the largest gift he has ever given, and will be delivered upon our arrival to Logstown." The chiefs exchange glances and nods as Montour interprets. Clasping his hands over his chest, Gist continues. "It is our Father's desire that we, his children, be united as one, that we be bound with this string of wampum." Gist reaches over, retrieving a string of wampum, and hands it to one of the chiefs as Montour interprets. "Brethren, with regard to your third speech, it is true that on our journey hither, many a story was spoken, told by wicked-hearted souls who only seek to divide us. I assure you, their words were deaf on our ears, for our hearts told us to believe not, and our hearts were true. And should any further falsities fall upon our ears, we will, as before, disregard them as folly. It is our hope that you will do likewise, that our agreement will continue to live through this string of wampum." Gist hands the wampum to one of the Delaware chiefs before continuing. Brethren, to you and those who live near the setting sun, we heartily wish you well. Now and always, we stand ready, whenever the circumstances should arise, to assist with our best advice. Hence, as we look forward with open hearts and minds to the council at Logstown, we offer you this string of wampum. With that, their meeting comes to a happy, hopeful conclusion as both parties stand, nod, and part ways. That evening, the Virginians relax around a fire discussing how smoothly their meetings have progressed thus far, while sharing their thoughts and strategies for the coming day. Camp of the Virginia Contingency, Shinapentown, before dawn, Tuesday, May 30th, 1752. The king's gifts are being loaded into 4 large canoes and lashed together for their journey to Logstown. With their cargo secure, the Virginians board their canoes and head downriver with the king's colors on full display. It is quiet and the river is smooth, reflections of the trees appearing on its calm surface as the god rays cut through the forest. As they slowly roll along, they are saluted by local natives on both sides of the river, some firing ceremonial shots in the air as they pass the village of Delaware Town where Queen Olaguippi lives. From within their slowly drifting canoes, the Virginians return the gesture as a show of respect as they glide to shore. After disembarking, the Virginians are brought to meet with Queen Olaguippi. Following introductions, they present her with a string of wampum, and she invites them to join her as honored guests for a feast of wild bird, vegetables, and flatbreads. During the feast, conversations ensue, and after a series of heartfelt exchanges, the Queen grants them permission to continue through her territory to Logstown. Sealing her promise, she presents them with a basket of fish to nourish themselves on their journey downstream. As a show of their appreciation, the Virginians present the Queen with gifts, among them a brass kettle and a bundle of fine tobacco. Pleased, the Queen smiles and nods. The Virginians return the gesture, bowing as they say their goodbyes. As their journey continues, the sky begins to darken, and the Virginians soon find themselves in a downpour. With no alternatives, they continue onward as they and their tiny vessels are pelted by the swiftly moving storm. As the rain intensifies, their canoes begin filling with water. The men exchange glances as they paddle their crafts through the angry river, praying for a safe spot to go ashore. Several anxious minutes pass, the swiftly flowing waters tossing them about as they desperately search for a landing. When in the distance on their right they spy a trader's cabin. Pointing, Gist shouts through the storm, "To shore!" While the others secure the canoes, Gist makes his way through the downpour to the cabin. Standing on the porch, he slaps his tricorn to his thigh, knocking off the rain, when an inaudible voice from within grabs his attention. The door swings open as he looks up, and a bushy-bearded, husky old trapper in buckskins appears. The old Dobbin stares at him and he straightens himself. Glancing around at the raging storm, he says, "Good day, sir." The trapper leans forward, looking out at the storm as it pummels the forest. Jiff smiles. "Me and my friends are traveling to Logstown, but I fear the weather wishes otherwise. Might we seek shelter by the warmth of your fire?" The trader chuckles and without hesitation steps back with a wave. "Come on in, stranger." Just tips his hat. "Thank you kindly, sir. I'll just be telling my men." The trapper nods. "Doors open when you're ready." Before warming themselves by the fire, the Virginians retrieve the king's gifts from the canoes and secure them near the cabin. With their cargo stored, they retreat into the cabin where they remain as guests of the trader until the next morning. Trader's Cabin, Ohio River Valley, Ohio Territory. Dawn, Wednesday, May 31st, 1752. The storm and all its rain have finally blown through, enabling the Virginians to continue onward. After a hearty breakfast and hot cups of coffee, they thank the trader for his hospitality, load their canoes, and continue down river. And a few hours later they are gliding into Logstown. As they rowed ashore, they are greeted with ceremonial rifle firing from the villagers. The chiefs welcome them into their village, then guide them to a spot where they can set up camp and rest. Logstown, Thursday, June 1st, 1752. The Virginians are enjoying their morning coffee when a messenger approaches. Montour listens, then translates his words. "The chiefs have met in the council house, and now desire our presence that they might address us." Just steps forward, cup in hand, casting the contents to the ground at his side. "Tell the chiefs we will join them post-haste." Montour had no sooner translated when the messenger responds in English. "Come now, me take." With raised brows, the Virginians exchange glances, then grab their things and head out. A short while later, they are in the company of the Indian Council, along with a man known to the Indians as the Buck. George Croghan, an Irish Indian trader, has been trading with the tribe for the last 6 years, and has long since gained their trust. His long-standing relationship with the local tribes and ability to speak their language has earned him a role as agent for the Pennsylvania colony. He is there representing the Deputy Governor James Hamilton, who, at the close of the French and Indian War, will be replaced for failing to protect Pennsylvanians from raids conducted by these very Indians. They no sooner gather when a chief of the Six Nations addresses the group. "Brethren, you have come to us in a blind way. Had we known the way of your journey, we could have met you some distance from here." He throws them a grandfatherly smile. "But you here now, and in the name of the Six Nations, we bid you a warm welcome with this." As Montour translates, the chief hands just a string of wampum before continuing. "Brethren of Pennsylvania and Virginia, hearken to what I say, as it is my desire that you speak freely with open hearts. We understand and are certain you have many troubling thoughts. Of this we have no doubt. It is our hope that these will not hinder our ability to continue our path to friendship, our commitment to which we offer these string of wampum." Just takes the wampum from the chief's hand with a respectful nod. "You honor us with your offering, and we will return in a few hours to give you our reply." Sitting across from one another, the chiefs nod, and the parties quietly and respectfully go their separate ways. Later that afternoon, Thursday, June 1st, 1752. As the groups reconvene at the council house, the meeting opens with Mr. Croghan standing and addressing the council. "Great chiefs, you know me, and have known me for many a year. I wish to express that it is my desire that you receive my Virginia brethren kindly with a string of wampum." Finished, Croghan sits and just stands like a frontier statesman. "Brethren, during our long journey, we received word you were aware of our pending arrival, and welcomed us with a string of wampum. Only yesterday we arrived at this place, and this morning you welcome us with a string of wampum, that we might open our eyes and see the sun more clearly, to see you as brothers. And for this we are grateful. Know this, we are here to assure you of our heartfelt proclivities to live with you, indeed among you, in friendship. It is therefore from our hearts that we present you with this string of wampum." As Mr. Croghan translates, Gist leans forward, offering the string of wampum to the chief. Sitting back, he continues, "Brethren, in your second speech you offered us 2 strings of wampum, that we might clear our minds of any ill reports, so that we might openly speak our minds. Hence, we wish to assure you, any such reports have long since been ripped from our hearts, and exist not in our minds. Hence, they shall not hinder our friendship. We understand we are still awaiting the arrival of some of your chiefs, whose arrival is expected shortly. It is our desire to patiently await their arrival and faithfully deliver our king's gifts with open hearts to all of you at the same time. Until their arrival, we offer you this string of wampum as a show of faith." The chief accepts it graciously. "We are grateful you consideration, and agree. Waiting is appropriate." With that, the two contingencies part ways until the arrival of the remaining chiefs. Sunday, June 4th, 1752. After 3 long days, several canoes, ironically, each flying the English flag, appear on the river as the sun reaches its highest point. The long-awaited chiefs have finally arrived. Among them, the Seneca half-king, Chief Chenecherissen, and the leaders of the Onondaga Council. Although the Virginians are relieved by their arrival, they are quickly disappointed when they hear the chiefs must first discuss tribal business before meeting in council. And for the next several days, the Indian Council does just that, appointing a special council to deal with the Virginians. Saturday, June 10th, 1752. Finally, after waiting nearly a week, the Virginians are given an audience with the Council of Chiefs and their specially appointed council. Prior to their meeting, the Virginians place the king's gifts just outside the council house. When they enter, they are surprised to find their company is the same group of chiefs they had previously met with. Just then, an entourage of unknown faces enters. Among them, one who is clearly their leader, his alpha supremacy undeniable. Although of average height, his face is that of a proud, wise man. His eyes are deep and dark like his skin, and with his muscular build and imposing presence, his power is undeniable. He is Chief Chenecherissen, the Seneca half-king and warrior leader. He enters, and all stand, not a soul sitting until he takes his rightful place. Once sitting, all remain silent, exchanging glances. With all parties now present, Gist stands, clears his throat, and addresses their hosts, placing specific emphasis on showing the half-king his due respect. "Brethren, friends, warriors, and leaders of the 6 nations, we are most pleased to meet with you here in this place, and are eager to enlarge the council fire previously kindled by you and our Pennsylvania brethren. It is our desire to strengthen the chain which binds our friendship, with hope it will last so long as the moon and stars fill the sky and the sun continues to burn. It is therefore with this string of wampum with which we confirm our commitment to friendship." Croghan translates as Gist hands the string of wampum to the half-king. He sits, and Joshua Fry stands. "Brethren, in the year of our Lord 1744, your council and the governments of Virginia, Maryland, and Pennsylvania agreed upon a deed which recognized the king's right to all the lands of Virginia, for which consideration you agreed upon was delivered and received. At that time, it was the desire of Chief Conesatego, who said on that council, that should the settlements of our people increase, the commissioners would recommend additional favor from our king. Upon this request the commissioners agreed, confirming it in writing with their hands and seals. In lieu of said promise, Conrad Weiser delivered to your council here a present on behalf of our king in the year of our Lord 1748. Fry pauses for a moment to clear his throat. Now, brethren, the king wishes to show his love for justice and for his children with this gift of goods we offer you today. It is therefore our desire that you then confirm the Treaty of Lancaster. Fry pauses again, casting his eyes over his audience. Brethren, at present, it is our Father's design to establish a settlement of his subjects on the southeast bank of the Ohio River, and that we unite as one people, bound as neighbors and friends. And through this bond, will withstand together any insults or infractions laid upon us by our enemies. Such a settlement will bring upon you great advantages, the likes of which at present you cannot possibly conceive. Our people will be able to supply you with goods faster and cheaper than can presently be done. They will stand ready to aid you in the event of attack, and there will be among them men, good men, who will possess the authority under our king to punish and restrain those unlawful white people who, all too frequently, commit injury and abuse upon you." Fry eyeballs the council again, unable to discern if his message is having the desired effect. Clearing his throat again, he continues, "Be assured, brethren, that it was never the intention of our king to take your lands, but rather to acquire them by way of purchase, so that we might live as neighbors, as brothers, while also keeping them from the French. As our king is not like that of the French, he calls himself our father, not yours. He seeks not to take your land by force, as did the king of France just 3 short years ago, posting his mark upon trees, rivers, and streams, and claiming it as his own. And yet, at that time, and for many years before, our English brethren have lived among you, here and in numerous other towns upon this great river, never once claiming it as ours." This time Fry scans the room to heads nodding in agreement. "Let us not also forget how the French chased the Shawnee and the Twitewee people from this land, strewn to all corners of the frontier. He does this to weaken you, for he dareth not to come at you when you are united. Knoweth this, when we come together as one, our king will lay upon you his hand, and keep you from harm. Indeed, our great king seeks to bond in a union of strength, for this he knows will make us invincible. Hence, on behalf of the governor of Virginia, we present a gift for the Twitewee people to assure them of his highest regard for them and our friendship. So therefore, should there come a day when they stand in need, he and the people of Virginia are ready to answer the call." Upon concluding his speech, Fry takes a seat and is quickly replaced by a standing James Patten. Patten bows and proceeds to address the council. "Brethren, we encourage you to be not deceived by the cunning words of the French, as they seek only to separate us. Rather, we encourage you to focus instead upon the actual deeds of our king and his English subjects. Acts of true friendship, with which you have witnessed these many years. Ask yourself, then, who is worthy of your esteem? Surely these hold deeper in your hearts than do the shallow words of the French. For this, we present you this fine belt of wampum." Croghan translates as Patten hands a pelt of wampum to the half-king before continuing. "Brethren, it has been many a year since first we crossed the great water. When we arrived, you took our ships and anchored them to your heartiest trees. Since then, we have remained the strongest of friends. When the French attacked you, we assisted, and together we withstood them. We have remained not only good friends, but allies, bonded by the strongest of chains. A chain which over these many years may have rusted, but has never broken. Today we wipe the rust away, restoring it to its luster with the desire of keeping it so, now and always." Croghan translates as Patten hands a belt of wampum to the half-king. The council continues through the remainder of the day and into the evening. They discuss issues such as the unfortunate murder of a frontier woman, agreeing murder is the ultimate crime and that those responsible should be severely punished, including talks about what punishment should be. The Indians are also told if any member of their tribe possesses knowledge of who is responsible for the woman's murder or for any other such crimes, the expectation of the Virginia governor is that the perpetrator or perpetrators be delivered to the magistrate in Williamsburg to stand trial, reiterating that this is in accordance with the Treaty of Lancaster. They also discuss the importance of obeying the laws of the land and the protocols for Indian travel through colonies of white men. Finally, Lunsford Lomax addresses the council. Brethren of the Delawares, let me first thank you for the fine reception we received upon our arrival. We are forever grateful. As Mr. Patton mentioned, we encourage you to be not deceived by the cunning French. Beware their empty words, for they seek only to divide us. Rather, we encourage you to align your friendship strictly with us, the Six Nations, and your brethren who live near the setting sun. This will serve to strengthen us all against our enemies. To confirm you this, we present this belt of wampum. Patton hands it to the Delaware chief as Mr. Croghan translates. And to our Shawnee brethren who have suffered much at the hands of the French devils, we encourage you to hold firm our chain of friendship. Through this, and this alone, are you likely to regain all you have lost at the hands of the French, through which your people will once again find happiness. To honor this promise, we present you this belt of wampum. Patton hands the belt to the Shawnee chief as Croghan translates. To the Wendots, whose nation has been divided by the French, many of whom are currently under the control and direction of their French masters, it is our desire that you endeavour to bring your brethren into our alliance. However, should this no be possible, we extol you with all the power that you possess to enter not into our lands and bring harm upon our people. We therefore present you with this belt of wampum. Patton hands the belt to the Wendots chief as Mr. Croghan translates. At this time the Virginia contingency stands, and Mr. Fry steps forward. Brethren, to the Half-King and honorable chiefs, in the name of our king our father, we now present you a gift of goods. Gesturing towards the exit, allow us to acquaint you with the gift our great king has sent for you. With that, everyone steps outside to view the bounty of gifts. And although they tried not to show it, the Half-King and his counterparts are impressed with what they see, welcoming the gifts with open arms while graciously thanking the Virginians. Satisfied with the offering, the Half-King instructs his warriors to divide the goods among the tribes. Then he hands a 10-row belt of wampum to Mr. Montour, whom he refers to by his Indian name. Agnes Ara, child, forget not that you are one of our people, and have conducted much business among us over the years as interpreter for our Virginia and Pennsylvania brethren. Of this we are most pleased, and are confident our friendship will continue, and that justice be done for all parties. However, you are not merely an interpreter. You are also a member of our council, with equal rights to these lands. Therefore, you may, with our blessing, conduct any business on behalf of the Six Nations, for in our eyes you are an equal with all the council. To confirm this, we present you this belt of wampum. The Half-King hands Montour the belt. Then he turns to Mr. Croghan with another belt of wampum. It has been many a moon since our brother the Buck has been conducting business with our people and our Pennsylvania brethren. However, it is our understanding that he wishes not to do this any more. Know now that we have sent word to the council at Onondaga of his good deeds here, and the great help he has brought to our council. Hence, he is approved by the Onondaga Council that he is one of our people, and shall continue to assist us as one of our council. This I confirm with this string of wampum. The Half-King steps forward, presenting the string to Croghan. Then, to everyone's shock, he turns to the Shawnee chief, snatching the hatchet from his side, declaring, I take from you your hatchet. He ties a black string of wampum around it. With this string of wampum, I hinder you from warring with the people of the Cherokees, for to do so is to war against our own people. Hence, I take from you this hatchet, and you now belong to me, and shall be ruled by me. The Shawnee chief glares back at him, listening. I prohibit you from war. Having made his point, he turns to the Virginians and Pennsylvanians with another belt of wampum. Brethren, many seasons ago, we complained that the traders in Pennsylvania sold too many quantities of liquor to our people than we desire. We asked that they comply with this request. We also desired that your traders offer their goods for cheaper. In response to these requests, Conrad Weiser presented us this belt of wampum, stating we would not be required to pay more than 5 buckskins per keg, and, if that not be acceptable to the traders, we should then have the kegs for nothing. Since then, more than double the amount of liquor has made its way into our lands, with no such rates being honored. And although we have lodged many a complaint, there has been no action to repair it. Hence, it is our belief Weiser's words came only from his mouth, and not from his heart, or with the full support of the governor. Therefore, we believe it only suitable we should return the belt. He hands the belt to Croghan, who looks at him with thoughtful disappointment as Montour translates. And with that, their day of negotiations comes to a close. Tuesday, June 13th, 1752. In the days that follow, intense negotiations ensue. As discussions resume on the third day, the half-king returns to the issue of the murdered frontierswoman. Brethren, regarding the murdered woman, it saddens me to say, it is true such evils have been done, and yes, we know who did this. This evil man is one of our own. He is one of the 6 nations who has for some time lived among the French. His barbaric actions we cannot forgive, nor can we excuse away. Know this, however, these things he did alone, without our knowledge or consent. Hence, it is our belief he is tempted by evil spirits. Be assured, we shall alert the council of Onondaga to this abomination, and he will be severely punished for this inexcusable crime. Our promise for which we now offer you this belt of wampum. With a look of sincerity, he hands the belt to Mr. Fry as Montour translates. Sitting back, he continues, Brethren, we have received your message, and understand the king's desire for a settlement on the Ohio River. You have reminded us of the deed for those lands previously signed during the Treaty of Lancaster, and we shall adhere to the agreement reached by our council. But know this, we here do not possess the full power over the whole of the great river. As such, we can only inform the council at Onondaga of your intentions. Regarding your request for building a stronghouse at the mouth of the Monongahela, it was stated such a building would require a settlement to ensure its provisions. We declare that we will ensure all such provisions shall be provided until such a time as we may provide you an answer regarding the establishment of a settlement there. He hands Fry 3 strings of wampum, all of them white. Fry takes the strings as Montour again translates. The half-king continues. As such, we wish for Mr. Montour to privately discuss the settlement with our chiefs, to share with them the advantages it can provide to their people. After Montour translates, the parties adjourn for a half-hour break, allowing Montour enough time to discuss the issue with the other chiefs. When they reconvene, Montour addresses the parties. "Brethren, I am pleased to announce that the chiefs have agreed to the settlement and are in agreement with the terms." At that point, a document is drafted and signed by all parties, after which the half-king once again addresses the commissioners. "Brethren, you governors have shared their consideration for our friends and allies, and have given thought to their many needs. We thank you for this, and ask that you deliver this belt of wampum, asking that they hold firm to our chain of friendship, as will we." The half-king hands Fry the belts as Montour translates. Then he presents another belt of wampum to be delivered to the Shawnee. Fry hands the half-king a belt of wampum as well. "Brethren, we have traveled a long and hard path to meet with you. We are pleased and have to our gratification completed our business with this honorable council, and will now return home. In the name of our King our Father and our governors of Virginia and Pennsylvania, we make open the road, free of any hindrance, to at any time send your messengers to us, and know that we stand ready to warmly receive them. Know that we see you as our brethren, and it is from our hearts that we present you this belt of wampum." Fry hands the belt of wampum to the half-king as Montour finishes his translation. The Virginia commissioners spent an entire week talking, negotiating, and exchanging gifts with the half-king. And although most tribes preferred dealing with the French, the half-king was drawn to the British as they had come with a wealth of goods beneficial to the local Indian population. By the conclusion of their negotiations, the Virginians had reached an agreement with the half-king, at which point the parties exchanged wampum, sealing their deal. Even though the Seneca were only one of the many tribes in the region, the Virginians walk away from the negotiations feeling they have established a strong foothold. Hence, they left the meetings not only with the half-king's support, but with plans to return the following year to begin construction of a trading post at the forks of the Ohio River. The half-king is later quoted to have said, "The French claim all the lands on one side of the river, and the English claim everything on the other. If that be the case, I ask, where does the Indian land lie? We live in the country between, and therefore the lands belonging to neither one nor the other. But the great being above allowed it to be a place of residence for us." Mount Vernon, Virginia Colony, Summer 1752. Upon his return from England in July, Lawrence Washington succumbs to his tuberculosis. Upon his passing, he bequeaths one of Virginia's most prominent estates, his 10,000-acre plantation, Mount Vernon, and several other properties to his infant daughter Sarah. Unfortunately, Sarah dies before reaching adulthood. However, Lawrence granted his wife, Anne Fairfax Washington, a life estate title to the properties. Thus, she is allowed to remain living at Mount Vernon. However, at the time of Sarah's passing, Anne Fairfax Washington had already taken the hand of Colonel George Lee of Westmoreland County, Virginia, and no longer lived on the plantation. In an effort to step out on his own and make a name for himself, young George Washington joins the Virginia militia following his brother's death. Shortly after joining the ranks, and having demonstrated signs of being a natural leader, Virginia Lieutenant Governor Robert Dinwiddie promotes Washington to the rank of major and appoints him adjutant.